I'm Scott, and this is GreatScott Knitting, a vlog podcast thingy. And today is episode 17. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And for those of you who are new to this podcast vlog thingy, welcome. Thanks for checking it out. I hope you enjoy it. Today is February 20th, 2021, and here in Wichita, Kansas, it was a really lovely day. It was sunny and 43. Today was the first day in over 2 weeks, that it reached a temperature above freezing in Wichita, Kansas. That's a long time to be cold, especially for here. The longest cold snap for like 30 years or more. It's a long time. Anyway, it was very cold for a very long time. But here in Wichita, Kansas, we are much more prepared for it than our cousins a little bit further south of us. So definite thoughts go out to those who are still suffering in Texas and southern Oklahoma from all of the crazy cold and snow and lack of electricity and lack of water and all that craziness going on down there. Yeah, just too much. But it has not been necessarily easy to be that cold here. We had rolling blackouts earlier this week because of the strain on our electrical system. So that was fun. We did lose power for about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours on, I believe that was Tuesday. So that made, but it was very early. It was relatively early in the morning. It was right around 7 o'clock. So we had power back by 8:30, and I was able to do the things I needed to do using my cell phone. So yay. So this for me, I was back to work this week. So it was my first week of work at the new company that I work for. And so that was a lot of fun. It was, it's a little nerve-wracking. It's a very different experience to start a new job virtually. My last job was generally virtually, but it was really a different segment of the same company I worked for the last time I started a new position. So it wasn't entirely weird because I had a place to go. I still worked out of an office. Even though it was sort of pseudo remote. Anyway, that was kind of an odd situation too, but this one's very, very unique for me. I've never started a fully virtual thing where I'm only working from home. I'm only meeting my coworkers in a virtual setting. They're all working from home as well. So it's just, it's very interesting. So, but I'm so glad to be back to work. It's very tiring to have been off work for 11 months and then to be thrust back into a standard, 8 to 5 work week. For me, it's more like a 7 to 5, but because I like to get up early and do a few things. But yeah, it's interesting and it's good. Oh my God, it's so good. I like the company I'm working for. I like the coworkers I'm working with, and I like the work that I will be doing. So yay, 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 yay. Now, it's the next fun thing is to actually get paid. So I have money to pay bills and to hopefully buy some yarn. That's really what I want to do. Isn't that funny? I mean, it's kind of funny to be in a situation where the biggest thing I want to be able to do is to buy yarn. It's not a big, can't go on vacation, well, of course, I've just started a new job, can't go on vacation anyway. So, yeah, so that's where I'm at. So, yeah, it's absolutely beautiful here. This day, it's supposed to stay above freezing. I think we are looking at some snow in the next week, but hey, it's not going to be sub-zero temperatures, so I'm not going to be too upset by that. We did get down to an actual temperature of negative 17 degrees Fahrenheit, which was very, very cold. The wind chill factor was somewhere around 30 below. So, yeah. So as long as we're not hitting those sub-zero temperatures for a while, I'll be okay. However, I like winter much more so than summer. I do not like the heat. I can always put on another sweater, but there's only so many clothes I can take off before they arrest me. So let's talk about putting on sweaters. Let's talk about knitting, because this is a knitting and fiber-related podcast, vlog thingy. So let's get into what that's about. So let's talk about finished objects. Let me bring my cart over here closer. So I was able to finish up my scarf. And do I have that up here? Oh, I don't. All right, 1 second. Let me get, well, here, let me just show it to you. So this is the Saxon double braided scarf by Nicole Wilson. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, okay. So maybe the yarn is a little busy from color and such to really show off the cables. But, I don't care. I like it. It feels fabulous because it's the yarn is Knitology Worsted Merino in the colorway of Concrete Jungle. I believe this is 100% superwash merino wool, or no, it's not superwash. It's just merino wool. But so it's very, very soft. It's very, very scrunchy and cuddly. And when you're looking at it, you can, this is the back side. When you look at it in person, you can see those cables. They're not overly pronounced, but you can, I keep showing the back side. There we go. There's those pretty cables. But the yarn is beautiful too. Now, here's the cool thing I did. These fringes, I'm calling this an elongated picot bind off. So you know that the picot bind off where you cast on 2 stitches, bind off the 2 stitches, bind off 3 or 4 stitches, and then cast on 2, bind off 2, bind off 3 or 4. Okay, so did that, but instead of casting on 2 stitches, I cast on 10, then cast off those 10, and then put that space in between to create these lovely controlled fringes. Not a big fringe person, but I like how this one turned out, and I just wanted to kind of try it to see what I thought. So this scarf is about 6 feet long, so it's a good a really good length to be able to do a lot of things with. So one of my favorite things that I like to do is double it in half and then scrunch it like that. So it makes it very nice and cozy, warm around your neck, and it keeps it under control. So that's why I like having long scarves that aren't overly wide, so that I can do something like this with it. And you know, you get to see the little fringes, and it's kind of fun. So this finally came off the needles. I became obsessed with it because it had been on the needles for a while. So I'm glad to have finished this. Again, this is the Saxon Double Braided Scarf by Nicole Wilson. Free pattern off of Ravelry. What else did I get done? Ooh, I got done my February socks. Woohoo! These are really fun. Absolutely beautiful. I'm so pleased with them. Yeah, I need to get sock blockers, but I'm starting to get longer and longer on my leg, although I think this is as long as I'm ever going to make it. I think it's about 7 inches before the cuff. 7.5. That's right. It's 7.5 inches before the cuff from where I finished the heel and come up to the cuff. And this yarn is Dyer Supplier 7525 Superwash Merino Nylon, and I hand dyed these in food coloring, and I love how they turned out. I absolutely adore these. They pooled in a very, very interesting manner. It kind of swirls around at the foot, and then it stops that swirling once I get past that heel toe, and becomes just kind of the straight line coloring on the front and back. And I did the exact same. I mean, I did it on the first one. I thought, oh, it'll be interesting to see what happens on the second one. Did the same kind of thing on the second one. So yeah, I did just kind of the same kind of thing, only opposite. So I'm really loving these socks. They are super soft. Oh my God. Absolutely love those. The pattern that I use for my socks is the Sockmaticians Toe Up Socks by Nathan Taylor. He has a YouTube channel. You should really check it out. He is fascinating to listen to and watch because he's very much into mathematics and numbers. And this pattern is really more of a recipe because you can make any size of sock that fits your foot or the foot of the person you're making socks for very, very well. And it's really simple, but it does take a little bit of math, but not terrible. And the pattern takes you through exactly every calculation you need to make to be able to make perfectly fitting socks toe up. There's no picking up stitches. There's no gaps in that gusset, between the gusset and the... Can you see this? Ooh, I keep turning it the wrong way. But there's no gaps. There's no holes. It's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely wonderful. I can't recommend that pattern more. I really can't because it's so good. Oh, there's this double, yeah, there's that Saxon double braided scarf. Okay, so things that are on the needles. What works in progress do I have going on? I do have my blanket that I am still knitting on. Although, to be honest, I really haven't gotten much done on it recently. I think I've knitted on it since last time, but not much. Maybe a repeat. But yeah, here it is. Love the pattern. I've always loved this pattern. I've done this on some scarves in the past. It's sort of this building blocks thing with moss stitch, and then garter, and then stockinette, reverse stockinette. It makes just this lovely block pattern. Be great for baby blankets, but I just love the pattern. I think it looks great, it feels great, and the yarn I'm using is the Karen Big Cakes, and the colorway is some kind of berry thing. Nightberry is the colorway that I'm making that in. So yeah, I need to start making some progress on that. But I've got to admit that since starting work, it's cutting into my knitting time. And I don't know if I like that. I'm just kidding. It does cut into the knitting time because that's really how I survived this past year, was through knitting. It kept me sane. It kept me, it was soothing. When things got really scary for me because, the jobs weren't coming and COVID was getting worse and money was starting to trickle away, knitting is what soothed me and kept me centered and calm. So now that I'm back to work and money will start coming back in, I'm not going to have as much time to knit, although I have found it over the past week, my opportunities to knit over lunch, during breaks, after work, before work, again, keep me centered, keep me soothed. So yeah, that blanket, which is a little more fiddly, it takes a little more attention. So those are things I'm going to have to do before and after work. What else am I working on? Oh, which one do I want to talk about? Let's talk about the my shawl that I designed. Not that one. The shawl that I designed called Marking Time. I am doing it in, I'm knitting it again. I did my prototype knit, which I then published, and now I'm working off of that published pattern because it was a couple weeks in between, so I kind of forgot how to do it. But there's that published pattern right over there, and here's the one I'm working on now. Make sure I'm showing you the front side. Yeah. So here's where I'm at now. Of course, it starts here with just the garter stitch section. Then it comes up to a number of stitches, and then I do some double yarn over lace, garter stitch, lace, and so on until I get done. The yarn is a Dyer supplier. Dyer supplier fingering singles, which is 100% superwash merino wool, and it's a single weight or a single ply yarn that I dyed with food coloring. Yeah, this one was dyed with food coloring. The last one I did, which it was in singles, was in dyed with Kool-Aid. So this is with food coloring, and I really like how this one's turning out, even more than the last one. The color is a little less severe, so you can see a little bit more of the texture of the pattern, although some of the pooling and flashing is very interesting and very fun. And so I'm really liking how this one's turning out even more than the last one. So that's going really quite nicely, and I love how it's turning out. If you are interested in knitting this little shawlette, because it's a small shawl, it's currently it's designed for one skein of yarn that you may have and you're not sure what to do with it. You could certainly knit it with more than one skein of yarn. You just continue the pattern and keep going. It's highly repeatable. So it could be anything from a great big shawl to a small shawlette, kind of scarf that you wear. So however you want to knit that. If you're interested in that, it's a paid for pattern on Ravelry. Kind of helps me pay for the overhead a little bit. So yeah, go check that out. I'll have the links to all of my patterns. I have, well, at least most of my patterns are in the notes below, so feel free to check those out. So that's the marking time shawl that I'm working on. What's next? Oh, yes. The flax sweater. Yay! I am going back and trying to knit a sweater again. Last time I talked about this, and just to recap, I have knit 2 sweaters in my life in the 15 years that I've been knitting, over 15 years that I've been knitting. And those 2 sweaters were okay, not great. I knit a pullover that is fine except for the neck. The front of the neck rides up no matter which direction I try and wear it. So that's not particularly comfortable. So I'm not really happy with the neck. It was a bottom-up sweater. So I could probably pull that out and redo it, but it was a long time ago. And I mean, I still occasionally wear it for knocking about when it's really cold. The other one was a cardigan. This baby right here, which I knit, which is problematic. I mean, it's wearable. It does its job, keeps me warm when it's really chilly. But I wanted to knit a sweater that I was truly proud of knitting, and so I am knitting this top-down sweater called Flax by Tin Can Knits. Everybody in the knit world knows this sweater. I don't, so it's my first time knitting it. So here's where I'm at so far. I have just recently joined for the sleeves, so I just have the body to go. I'm striping this, which means I'm not doing any short row shaping on the back, which would have lifted up the collar a bit, but I'm not worried about that because it does have a really wide collar. So what I think when it blocks, it's going to widen that collar out a little bit, so I'm not too worried about that. I actually love how it's turning out. The colors are a deep navy, and the other one is called Mercury, which is a dark gray. These are both patent classic wool, worsted yarn. So very woolly wool, very workhorsey kind of yarn. Some people would say it's scratchy. I mean, it's not merino, I'll say that, but it's not bad. It knits up really lovely. I do get gauge. I get gauge almost pretty much exactly, if I remember correctly. So this is coming along nicely. I haven't knit on it in a few days, so I need to kind of get back into knitting on that. Now, yes, that was that. So Close to You, I cast this on today, and I'll tell you why. I have knit this shawl numerous times now. It's a great little go-to shawl when you're not sure what to knit, but you want to knit something. If you the Close to You shawl is by Justina Lorkowska. Free pattern on Ravelry. Really lovely shawl. Enjoyable knit. Very simple. But it has this lovely dramaticness to it. So I really like how it's turning out. I'm not sure which is front and which is back, but either way, I love how it's turning out. It's really pretty. So I just started this today. Here is the yarn, which, yeah, pretty much true to color. This yarn is a Louisa Harding yarn. The name of the base is Amatola. The name of the colorway is Tango. So it has these, oranges and peachy reds, which go into these browns. Pretty much, pretty much you can see them all right here. So, from these lovely sort of, brownish orange, tannish oranges into a brown, into and then sort of an orange, into purple or violet, into this pink. So I'm thinking it'll go from that pink into some of the oranges. So that's just started. Now, why am I casting that on? Well, I have, if you remember, the great big box of yarn that I received from a lovely subscriber to my channel. I really felt the need to cast something on that, I'm itching to use some of that stash in some of my next projects. And so this is the one that I chose first. The yarn is absolutely lovely. It is a 80% wool, 20% silk yarn. So it does have a kind of a lovely sheen to it. It's really soft. So it has a lovely, it does have a lovely halo. If you kind of see that there, there's that little fuzziness to it. So it's just really lovely. I think it has a very nice drape to it with what I'm doing on this shawl. So yes, I am enjoying using this yarn and getting to know some of these yarns that I am unfamiliar with. This is the first time I've ever knit with the Louisa Harding yarn. So an Amatola is still available. I went and looked it up. I don't know if that colorway is, but I know the yarn is. Ooh, I am warming up. This has got to go. Okay. That's the end of my works in progress. You know what? I forgot to talk about some finished objects. This time it was some dyeing that I did. And this will be I'll talk about these in an upcoming dyes yarn video, but I'll show you the end products. So for those of you who may not know, especially if you're new, I also dabble in dyeing yarn. I'm just learning, just figuring it out, what I like to do, what I want to do when it comes to dyeing yarn. And who knows, maybe that will become my retirement project when I reach that point in time. So, boom, 3 skeins of yarn. Let me tell you about them. These are 100% superwash BFL fingering weight yarn. The the bases, I get my bases, at least these bases I got from Dyer supplier. So dyed these with food coloring. This one is primarily blues and some violet. And what other colors? Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, black. To give it some shadiness to it. So really love how this turned out. The violet is very, very subtle, and so is the black. The black just gave it a depth of color. that I really like. Now, keeping in mind it's black food coloring, so not a real true black, but they turned out lovely nonetheless. I can get them retwisted. So it's really pretty. Very subtly tonal in its nature. So I followed this up. So the teal is the color, is the main color here, with some blue and black, I think, or yeah, blue and black is what it was on there. So then I took the teal and used it as an accent color. You can kind of see it in here. Yeah, you can sort of see some tealish pops of color. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, you can kind of see it up in here. With some magenta type, or some pinkish colors, and some I think a light tan is what was also in this. But yeah, I really loved how this one turned out. It's really light, a little more pastel. Oh, there's those teals and blues. Really like how this one turned out. Very non-repeating colorway, tonal in nature, definitely variegated. Oh, come on, there it goes. So there's the second skein, and I did one more skein where I took some of those, I think it was the magenta color, and brought it over into another skein with some reds and deeper browns. You really can't see the browns at all. Those kind of got washed away, which that's all right. But it kind of came, it lent a little more oranginess to this pink tonal skein of yarn. I don't know that I'd ever be able to repeat it, but I like how this one turned out. And when you put these three together, it's definitely, I would not call this a fade, but I really like how they look together. They are definitely meant to go together. I just don't know how I intend to use them together, but I like them. So I'm going to show you how I did those in an upcoming episode of GreatScott Knitting Dyes Yarn, so stay tuned. All right. So what else is going on in the world? Okay, so I talked about my new job a little bit and how that's going really well. So before work started, there was a whole week there that I was sort of preparing, and because money is a little tight, streaming services have been shut off, so didn't have streaming services, so I was relying on YouTube a lot for my entertainment, because I don't know, not much into network TV anymore. Maybe it's my age, don't know, but YouTube has become sort of my go-to entertainment source. And so along with my cadre of YouTube channels on knitting that I have been watching for the past year, I added in a whole bunch over the past couple of weeks. And so I do kind of want to highlight a few of them. One is, of course, brand new channel. These guys right here. Les Garçons, or Happy Hour with Les Garçons. These are Knits by Dells, and and Company. They have 2 episodes out. I have not seen the new episode yet, so that one's on my list for this weekend. So yeah, they got started off with great fanfare, great reception, great podcast. So yeah, go check out these guys right there. They have a lot of great, I mean, of course because it's happy hour, they do feature a drink, which is kind of fun. But several other podcasts are starting to do that as well. You probably won't see that on mine, but that's okay. Another lovely channel that I have started watching is the Bakery Bears. Now, they've been around a while. I'm just finally getting around to watching them. So this is a husband and wife team out of England. They are quite delightful. She crochets and knits. He knits. She dyes yarn. And they also have other little features and featurettes within their show that they do. Today's episode this week's episode that I just watched today, had a big section where he does hikes around their where they live, and it's absolutely beautiful, filled with history, and fascinating. So that again was really lovely, very soothing to sort of stick with the theme of the day. So check out the Bakery Bears. I've seen the last 2 episodes they've done. I haven't gone back into their catalog much, but they're delightful to watch. They're very polished. Yeah, dude, check these guys out. They are really good, and have lots of lovely tips and things, not just about knitting and crocheting and dyeing, but lots of other things as well. So be sure and check them out. I don't know what turned me on to this guy. Where did I hear about it? I don't remember. Anyway, Cletus Tries Knitting. He has 2 episodes out. He's very good at knitting. He's also a pretty decent podcaster. Very interesting. His latest one on the boyfriend sweater is really sweet, funny, and interesting. So go give him some love, because he's a guy, he knits, and he's willing to put it out there. So, go check him out. I also caught the most recent episode of Fiberbound. She has been around for a while as well. Not a great amount of time, but she's been around for a little while. Lovely podcast. She's a really well-accomplished knitter. One of the things that struck me about her was her dedication to, or what appeared to felt like to me, a dedication to the fiber arts community here on YouTube and on the internet, and how we really need to support each other and share the wealth. There's a lot of viewers out there that are interested in watching. There are a lot of us that are podcasting now. A lot of that due to this past year, and I believe she kind of got into it a little bit due to COVID as well. So a lot of us have started new ventures on the internet due to the times we're living in. And it is kind of great to see how supportive we are of each other. And so definitely go check out her channel, and give her support as she gives shout outs to others in the community as well. Maybe that's where I learned from about Cletus. Maybe not. I don't know. But I do know that I learned about Happy Knits from her. I've only watched 1 episode. Absolutely hysterical. So most episodes not feature the lovely woman there, and many of them feature her son as well. Now she knits and is the fiber artist, and he's there just for color commentary or something, but it's hysterical to watch the mother-son dynamic of this channel. It's really fun, and her knitting work and her fiber work is exquisite. Her color choices are amazing. I really loved watching this show because I loved that parent-child interaction, that playfulness that they have. So it's definitely a must-see channel. Be sure and go check them out. And then last but not least, I want to give a shout out to Pitchfork Fiber. Pitchfork Fiber this channel has been out there. It's not been overly active until recently. And a couple of reasons for that is, one, recently out of work due to COVID, joined the family. And due to that, he has ventured into something he has dabbled with, which has been yarn dyeing. And because now he has the time, he has started a small yarn dyeing business. And he talks about his knitting, and he now also talks about his yarn dyeing on Pitchfork Fiber channel on YouTube. Check him out. He's a really good knitter. He's an exquisite dyer. So I do want to give him a shout out really quickly. So yeah, here's his Etsy shop. And I have a link to the Etsy shop in the show notes for Pitchfork Fiber. And he has a very limited colorway palette that he's starting out with, which is perfectly fine. It just opened about 4 weeks ago, right at the beginning of February, early on in February. And his first drop to his Etsy shop sold out pretty much. And I believe today he restocked a lot of things. But here's pretty much what he has available, which are absolutely beautiful. He has this lovely tonal, which he calls duck boots. It's this lovely sort of terracotta tonal, which the great benefit of his color choices are that they will go really nicely with each other. So imagine that terracotta paired with this lovely sort of peachy tonal. This colorway is called Peony or Peony, and just absolutely beautiful. I love the rose tones with some of the some of that terracotta brown being brought into this skein, and I think this would pair so beautifully with that terracotta in a project. Has this lovely variegated blue skein as well, which I just love the speckles and the tones of this skein of yarn. Most of his options. This one is called April Showers. Absolutely beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Most of his skeins that he offers are in a sock 75-25 sock base, superwash merino. But he does have some DK. This one is available in a DK. And the color, this is that peony as well. that peony colorway. You can see sort of how it takes a little bit differently on the heavier base. But again, there's that beautiful touch of that brownish terracotta color. So I love his colors. Because I do not have the capital right now, I am unable to give him my actual dollars in love, but until I'm able to do that, I'm going to let you guys know he's brand new. You can see that his colors are really quite lovely. Here's that duck boots on DK. So pretty. So go over to his Etsy shop. The link is in the show notes. Check out what he has. If you're interested in something, I would say pick it up now, because I believe these things will be going pretty quickly. His palette is currently limited because he's just starting out. And I know it takes money to be able to make money. And so if you can go out and give him some love by picking up a skein or two of these beautiful colorways, I would appreciate it. And I know he would appreciate it, because that'll keep him in business. And someday it may be me out here trying to make a go of dyeing yarn and selling it to the public. So there's that. And in the near future, I am definitely going to spend some money with Pitchfork Fiber. So in lieu of any class time, so yeah, I'm not going to have any a class time. So I had talked about earlier in the year that once I was done talking sort of about yarn and its makeup and fibers and stuff like that, that I would start featuring some dyers and potentially some designers that are new and that I like. And so he's the first one that I'm featuring. I have not actually purchased any of his yarn, so full disclosure, I don't know the nature of his bases, but I do know that the colors are really great. They work really well with each other. So the different colors that he has in his collection work really nicely with each other. I've seen some of the things that he has knit with the yarn he has dyed by going to his YouTube channel, so you can go check that out as well. And give it a try. Because that's what I'm going to do as soon as I can afford to. I'm going to go pick up a couple of skeins and knit up with some of the things he has there. I love the fact that he's starting with some fingering weight yarn, some fingering sort of sock weight yarn, and a DK. DK right now seems to be very, very popular with a lot of people. I'm wanting to do more in that base as well in terms of my knitting. So, and I know that DK has been really kind of hard to come by from a dyer's perspective. I have wanted to get some more earlier this past year, and it just simply wasn't available. So, so there's that. So thank you. Wow, it has been almost an hour that you have spent with me, and I appreciate that you have done so. So thanks for coming by, checking it out, and yeah. So thanks for checking out GreatScott Knitting. Be sure and check out the other videos on this channel. This is the 17th vlog post that I have done. I also have 17 yarn dyeing videos out there, sort of tutorial-esque or some of them just showing my journey in yarn dyeing. So be sure and check those out. If you want to, give me a shout out in the comments. Let me know what you're up to. What are the things that, who are some of the dyers that you are discovering and want to give some love to? I'll check them out, and maybe I'll feature them on a future episode. At some point, what I might want to do also is try to interview some of these guys and talk to them. Some of these dyers, yeah, it could be guys, could be gals, but interview some of these folks, bring them on the show, maybe do a Zoom call with them, just something, just to be a little bit different, because I would love to know some of their inspiration and what gets them to add color to fiber and then share that with us. So that might be where the future of this, yarn dyeing features and designing features might go. So tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Give me a shout out. Let me know what's going on in your world. So yeah, you can find me on social media. I am on Facebook. I have a Facebook page called GreatScott Knitting, where you can see me post about my when I have uploads. I usually give a post about that. Finished objects, you'll see previews of my finished objects, my yarn dyeing, other things that I might be interested in terms of the fiber world show up on my Facebook page. You can see me on Instagram, where I do a lot of the same types of stuff. On Instagram, I am GreatScott Knitting. On Ravelry, I am GreatScott KCMO. So you can go there and check out my designs and see if you want to purchase or download any of those. And I also on Ravelry have a Ravelry group, and I'll have a link to all of those in the notes below, as well as links to all of the patterns that I have talked about today. So yeah, be sure and check out the show notes, because it has a wealth of links and information. So that pretty much wraps it up for this episode and this 2 weeks. So I'll see you in back here in another couple of weeks. I'll have had a couple more weeks of work under my belt. I'll have had some opportunity to work on some of these works in progress, and we'll bring some of that back to you. So until we see each other again, may you have peace in your home and the fullness of joy for all who dwell there.